present, breathing, and moving meditations. Things that you can do to raise your vibration, things that light you up, hobbies, activities that, keep you centered and present. Being outside in nature, spending time with little kids and animals, pets. They're naturally present and pure love. And so you just have to figure out what makes you feel good and in a place of peace and calm, and do more of that.
Awesome. One of the things I loved in your book, and I just caught it this morning, was that you take slivers of time. So you might be at a stoplight, and instead of letting your head worry about being late or what's going on or the news, you take that sliver of time to get present, right? To just
exactly. You know, we're all busy. I personally, I have a blended family of 6 kids. I have a full-time job. Right. You know, I'm showing up in all these different roles, and I don't have much free time. Right. So I take what I can get. And a lot of times it's from my drive from the office home, which is only 3 miles, but I will use that time to either mentally have a conversation with my guides or turn on music that raises my vibration, that helps me kind of shake off the energy I took on from the day. Or maybe it's just, talking and venting. Right. Again, being real about how you're feeling, but if you can, communicate it, you can release it. And then you get neutral again, and you're in that better vibration, and then in turn you attract better feeling situations and people and all of that.
Wow. So one of the things, and honestly, thank you so much for sharing with us. And if you've just tuned in, this is the Dr. Elisa Show on KUHS Denver, the Stream, with my amazing guest, Rebecca Rosen. I still can't believe that I get to talk to you on the air. So, and you know how to find us. If you're tuning in, I am going to see if Facebook is working. Sometimes Facebook is a little tricky, and we don't necessarily get, but if you are on Facebook and you want to post a question, then I will try to find it. But here is my question. So when I actually knew that I had some of these interesting abilities very young, but my family didn't understand, which I think is very true for many of us. My bigger question is, how do I know, for example, when I'm hearing spirit or when I'm hearing what I would like to hear, right? Because I can ask a question and get a yes, but I want a yes. So I'm not really sure I've been listening. So how do you do that? How do you clarify?
Yes, I get it. In my first several years of working with this new gift I discovered and being very insecure and a lot of doubt creeping in, because here I am, 20, all of a sudden, 21, 22, 23. Never before had I connected and communicated with dead people, angels or guides. And all of a sudden I can. So of course the mind is going to doubt. So you have to figure out the difference between a mind thought and a divine thought. Okay. And the simplest way I can break it down for people is a mind thought is a trailed thought, right? Your mind comes up with something, and then it creates a story, and it gets you from this to this to this, and then you get this thought. Versus a divine thought comes from out of the blue, out of nowhere. You're driving down the street, and a thought of your friend pops in your head, and then 5 minutes later, your friend calls you, who you haven't spoken to in months. Right. That was a divine thought, because you had no reason to think of that person, right? And so you just start recognizing there is a difference, because again, the mind, it's like I always say, there's a party going on in our heads constantly. Right. And that's the beauty of meditation, is for us to try and quiet down the party. The mind thoughts are always going to be there, but you can turn the volume down. And then when you get to a place of stillness, and you're open, that's where you can start connecting into the intuitive thoughts and the intuitive guidance coming from your team in spirit.
So thank you so much, because I do struggle with this. I have like a little monkey brain in there, right, or a hamster on a wheel, and definitely struggle when I'm with somebody else. It's less so, but for myself, it's definitely difficult. Do you think we get other, and I know you mentioned this also in the book, but symbols, like one of my friends finds pennies. Her husband died, and they always joked about pennies from heaven, and so she finds pennies as a message from him. I find feathers, and I find them standing up, like they've been stuck in the ground, standing up, and I walk somewhere and they're almost like looking at me. And I have no idea what they mean, but I gather them up. So is that just, do we all have a different way that spirit might talk to us through symbology?
Yes, yes. I love that you said feathers, because that's the first thing that popped into my mind as you were talking, which further confirms that, not that you need me to, but that is a sign. And when feathers come along, it's usually your angels. It's the higher angelic realm.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. But yes, we all have different ways we can receive signs. Sometimes you simply have to designate it, saying to your departed loved one, hey, show me pennies, or show me numbers, show me the number 11. Anything that resonates with you. Show me a sunflower, Mom, because Mom, I know you love sunflowers. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then sometimes they designate it, where you just keep finding sunflowers or pennies, and you then have that aha moment. You're like, you know what, that makes sense, because my mom was obsessed with sunflowers, so that is her sign for me. And so it's a language, and you can work with your loved ones in spirit and say to them, look, I need a sign. Throw me a breadcrumb here on my path. I need to know I'm not alone. Right. I need to know I'm on the right track. Mm-hmm. I need to know that you're okay and you're still with me. Right. And so what I have heard is the spirits want to give us signs. They want to let us know that they're hearing us. It's not a one-sided conversation, that they are there guiding us along our path, especially right now when times are so unsettling and confusing. Mm-hmm. And so what I constantly am being told to remind the people I work with is that their love for you is eternal. Their energy is unlimited. Mm-hmm. They're not in a body, right? And they can be in multiple places at one time, and to call on them. They need our permission. So ask for signs. Give them permission to be present with you, and then let go. And that's why we were talking about just let go, go with the flow. Don't go look for signs. Let them organically show up.
Interesting. It's interesting that you say we actually have to ask, because so many people, I think, are, why aren't you talking to me? And I wonder, have we not said, I'm open to hearing from you? So
right.
That's fascinating.
They do need our permission. You know, we are born with the gift of free will. Yes. And we have a say in who and what we let into our lives, into our energy. And we do need to give them permission. Sometimes it's not verbally communicating that. Sometimes it's just holding Mom's favorite bracelet, and that is an unspoken invitation. Mom, I'm going to wear this bracelet. It's an invitation. I want you to be present with me. Mm-hmm. You can feel that invitation. They respond, spirit responds to our feelings. They respond to our heartfelt energy and emotion, not to words. Okay? You absolutely can speak words, but it needs to be coming from that sincere place in your heart.
That's an interesting notion. So much of what you say is interesting. I'm trying to line the questions up in my head because I've got more of them than can come out of my mouth. One of the things I look at in astrology are the North and South nodes, and it talks about the gifts we came in with and where we need to go in our lives. And it is about then inviting and looking for those symbols. So there's a very big alignment there with what you're saying. But what, which came to mind, but this other question is coming through. So the reason I wanted to say that is two things. One, I was getting ready to leave the house today, and I put on my dad's signet ring, which I don't always wear, but for some reason I couldn't leave the house today without his signet ring. So interesting that you're saying sometimes it's something we wear that then calls them to us.
Exactly. You know, I had a group reading yesterday in my office, and there's 8 people, and I said, somebody here put on their mother's, I think it was a ring, and they never wear it, and somebody else has the teddy bear that they brought today, and that's connected to a father figure, like a grandfather. Well, one woman said, that's me. I actually left my house. I forgot the ring. I ran back in, got the ring. And so mom was just acknowledging that the intention was there.
Nice.
The other one was this woman said, oh my gosh, the teddy bear, it was my grandfather gave it to me, and it was sitting out, and I forgot it. I meant to bring it today, so I don't have it.
Oh
and he was giving her a hard time with his sense of humor, saying it doesn't matter. It's the thought that counts.
Wow.
But sometimes it's just nice to recognize, to hear that feedback, like it wasn't a wasted effort. They do see when you wear their jewelry, or you carry their picture with you. They're very much aware.
So I want to give you a chance now, because everyone who's listening is probably wondering how they get to work with you. So we'll do it again at the end of the show, but could you let people know, because you're now doing small group sessions again?
Virtually. So I'm doing in my Denver office once a week. I hold these group sessions, which I just opened up again. I've been doing those for 15 plus years. Everybody gets a reading that way. It's really an amazing experience, but I'm starting to do them over, virtually. And so you could be anywhere in the world, and you can join this group of 8 people where everybody is guaranteed a reading. I'm also going to be launching at the end of September my large audience events, which is, maybe 100 or 200 people. And certain people will get read. It's not up to me, it's up to spirit, whoever is loudest and strongest. But there'll be a combination of questions and answers that people can ask, and then readings. And it's a very universal event where everybody is going to hear what they need to hear, even if they don't get a direct message. And so all this information can be found on my website, RebeccaRosen.com.
Right. Okay, so I just want to repeat that, RebeccaRosen.com. And I'm so glad you're opening those up again. So here's the other question that was trying to come out of my mouth. I know that you've talked about in I don't remember if it was your book or your website, about we travel in the same soul group. And I was curious about that, because I do feel like I have had people in my life that I'm karmically complete with, and I would prefer to not run into again. And so I was wondering if you could expand on that notion of soul group and who we reincarnate with.
Sure. So before we're born, we set up a loose blueprint for our lives, a script that we are going to learn certain karmic lessons, come in and balance out karma with certain souls, and we travel in soul groups. And we have primary and secondary soul group members. Sometimes they are your family members, sometimes they are not. But there is this notion that we reincarnate and we keep coming back to keep growing our souls and to elevate to a higher consciousness of love and truth. And so we all have this soul plan. And in my readings that I do, they're constantly bringing forward purpose, okay, and reminding people of their purpose. And they'll give me sometimes an age. I'll say, I just got off a call right before this with a woman. I said, are you around 57? She goes, I'm exactly 57. I said, I'm seeing that in your soul contract, because your guides are saying you're at a crossroads, and all the pain and struggle that got you to this point, there's been gifts in it. But now from 58 on, you're about to move forward in life and learn with a greater sense of grace and ease and no drama. I mean, that's a good soul contract, right? And so I said, that's why you felt compelled to reach out, and it is all going to be shifting, and you're exactly where you need to be according to your soul's plan. And so we all have a soul's plan, and we all have exit points. Exit points are when we're going to leave the body and reincarnate back into spirit. And so, for everybody it's different. And for some people, you've heard 9 lives. Some people have multiple exit points. And what happens is, when you get to an exit point, you either have a wake-up call or a near-death experience, or you have a death. And your soul chooses. So not from a mind level, but a soul level, you will know if you're complete. And you may feel like, nope, I need more time. And so you bypass that and it becomes just a wake-up call, and then you keep moving forward with your life until the next one comes about. And so for everybody, it's very different.
That's fascinating. I have to tell you, I had almost died when I was around, I think I was about 30, a little younger than 30. And when all of it was over, I remember sort of trying this meditation around what's next, what do I do next? And I have very, my spirit guides often will not talk to me or talk to anyone who's reading. They're kind of unique. And one of my guides said, we actually didn't expect you to keep going. We thought you would take this exit point. So we're not sure right now. So that resonates with me, and I'm glad I skipped that exit point, because it's been so fun and exciting. I mean, there's been so much going on, and so it's interesting to hear that, because I always thought that that's what had happened, is I skipped an off ramp, which meant I could keep going.
And that brings up something I've been hearing a lot from my clients. So when I always thought one of my exit points was 36 years old. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, I just always sensed it. Mm-hmm. At 36, I actually went through a divorce. So it was a death of some sort. It wasn't an actual death. And so sometimes people pick up on, they feel like they're going to die young or at a certain age, but it may not be a literal death, but it was a death of a part of me and a part of my life, and a rebirth, a new beginning. And I think because of the times we're in, I think so many people are getting really present and asking deeper questions like, why am I here? Right. And what is my purpose? And that is the basis of Awaken the Spirit Within. It's who am I and why am I here? Right. Right? And if you're alive and if you're listening to this right now, there's a reason. Because you could be at a lot of other places, or you could be not in a body during this unique time that we're all experiencing. But you're here for a reason. Your soul chose to be here. And just knowing that, you take your power back. You stop feeling like a victim. And you start to recognize, wait a second, my soul signed up for this. And that means there are gifts in this. There's lessons for me to learn and opportunities for me to serve others, to teach others. And so more and more of us, I think, are recognizing our part in it.
Right. I love that, partly because I've been saying it to some of my clients, is I know personally, my soul chose to be born when it was. I skipped an off-ramp, or possibly two, and means I chose to be here now. And choosing to be here now says there's something here I'm supposed to do, whatever that might be.
And really it's about humbly surrendering, not forcing what that is, but really just praying and surrendering and saying, dear God, guides, use me. I am here to serve. Show me. And that's how I live my life every day. I get out of the way. I ask to be protected and divinely held, so that I feel I can, responsibly do my work and let go. And I think that applies for anyone. You don't have to be doing spiritual work, right? Anything you do. If you just, you wake up each day with a sense of gratitude that you are here and that there's a reason you're here. And you may not know what that is, and that's okay. And you have a team in spirit guiding the way. All you have to do, again, is invite them in and just say, show me, and let go, and then go with the flow.
One of the things I love about how you talk is your words could match any religion or someone who chooses out of religion and into spirituality. That the language you use is a universal language, and we could find pieces of it in almost any faith, which is just so incredibly lovely. And I think you make it possible for anything I do to have a spiritual meaning, so that a spiritual path might be the work you do, but a spiritual path might be being a barista at a coffee place and being the person who smiles at other people in the morning, and that might be a spiritual journey. So
exactly.
So it's not what we do, is that right? It's how we do.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So I talk a lot in readings about purpose, and your purpose sometimes is your career. but it's deeper. Your purpose is whatever gifts you're here to express. And for some people, they have the archetype of a therapist or a caregiver. And they are here to comfort, counsel, and guide people through with their words and with their presence. And sometimes that means you're a stay-at-home mom and you're doing it. And sometimes, like you said, a barista, and the job is the mask you're wearing. But your real purpose, it's finding a way to express your purpose. And sometimes for some people it's through a career, and sometimes it's not. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. As long as you are showing up and sharing, again, those special gifts. We all have gifts.
Right.
And it can be very simple, but no gift is too small or too big. For everybody, it's different. And you can be doing it very quietly, and that is perfect. Or you can be doing it like you in a very big way and putting yourself out there. We all signed up for different, ways and different opportunities to express.
And I think those can change, right? That
absolutely,
right, over time. That my career definitely didn't start like this, and now this is what I feel like I should. So one of the things I should always have been doing. So it's amazing. It's interesting again how in astrology we talk about north and south nodes, and that south node is what you did in a past life and perhaps were wounded doing, and the soul contract, like what you came here to do at your soul level, is the north node. And so it's a very similar language, just a different modality of getting that information, I think.
Exactly. I really believe anything that is truth, you're going to hear it in a lot of different ways and different, religions or traditions or, spiritual paths. Like, we're all kind of saying the same thing,
right,
but we're packaging it maybe a little bit differently. And you're going to be gravitated, you'll be drawn to whatever resonates most with you. And so, yes, I really like to keep my work very non-denominational, just very spiritually based. And, one of my favorite quotes, many paths, one truth. Okay? It doesn't matter how you find your way to a source or something bigger, just that you find your way. And for some people, it's going to be through astrology. And for some people, it'll be through being, a religious path. It really doesn't matter so long as you are aligning with something bigger than yourself.
That is so lovely. Do you deal with people, because it's so funny, I'll have people who come in for a reading, but they don't want to talk about past lives. And I say, that's great, we can use epigenetics instead. We can use family history. We can use lineage. Do you find that people come to you but are also concerned or afraid at the same time?
Typically, the people who are coming to me want answers, right? Okay. So they might have some reservations and be anxious. Everyone, when they get on the phone with me, they say, I'm so nervous, even if I've talked to you 10 times before, because you're anticipating what's about to come out of my mouth from whoever, who's going to show up to talk to them. So that's very normal. So yes, a lot of times people will say, don't tell me anything bad. And what I say is, the intention is to be helpful and healing, not hurtful or harmful or to scare you. But I tell you the truth. Right. And Spirit will bring forward what you're ready to hear. And sometimes it's not pretty. Right. Sometimes life is messy and we have to talk about your relationship issues or, your addiction issue. But they do it in a very loving way, and they only give you what you're ready to hear. So if you're not ready to hear something, especially about, don't tell me if I'm going to die, right? I get that all the time. I don't want to know. They won't tell you. They won't even show me. I only get what I'm supposed to deliver, and if you're not ready for it, they don't even bring it through me. So, and that's another thing. People oftentimes think I'm holding things back. Like they overanalyze my face and say, what aren't you telling me? Why did you, look a funny way? And it's just, I get it. It comes with the territory. But again, I share whatever comes through. I trust is meant to be shared.
It's so interesting. My one of my best friends is a naturopath. And she talks a whole different language than you, but she talks about tracking the light in a person through their body to whatever level that person will allow her to look. And that's one of her ways of diagnosing. And I've learned whenever I'm with her to just say to my body, just show her everything, please, just show her everything.
Right.
Because that's how I can work with her best. But it's a similar language where,
Exactly.
right? And in astrology, we say that you're ready. The bad news is, yes, you're dealing with karma. The good news is your North Node, you're ready to deal with this. Your soul is ready to embrace it. So again, different modalities, very similar concepts across.
Exactly, exactly. And I always believe, when somebody is ready to hear truth, they show up in front of me, whether it's, in a large group, a small group, in person, over the phone, whatever it is. And, I've had clients saying lately I've been doing a lot of phone readings because I've been limited in how I can connect to people. And so I've opened up more private readings, and I've had people saying, I've been trying for 10 years to see you. And every time, you're not available or you can't get an appointment. And finally, here we are. And I say, yes, because it's divine timing. Now is the perfect time. You're ready. You may not have been ready, a year ago or 10 years ago. And so it's really just trusting. And again, I love what you said. It's really, just asking your higher self to show you what you're ready for, what you need to know. And then, again, when I read people, I'm reading the energy they're offering. So if they're open, I'm able to read them. If they're shut down, there's not a whole lot I can do for them.
It's interesting that we talk about timing, because I think I shared this with you. I was scheduled to come to one of your big group meetings, and my dog, who I've actually had to put down since then, but she cut her foot. She was a 150-pound Newfie with a bleeding foot. It's not something you can ignore. And I went to the vet. They fit me in, and they gave her some kind of sedative so they could work on her foot. And I couldn't leave her because she was still bleeding. She had a sedative. She was woozy. And you can't leave a 10-year-old, 150-pound animal alone with that. And so there I was supposed to at least be in the room with you then. And right, the timing wasn't right, and clearly somebody needed to be in that room, and they took my ticket. And whoever that was, they needed to be with you. And so sometimes it is trusting that the universe has answered, and the answer is not yet. Right?
Exactly.
And that's a hard one.
It's really when you start to believe in this way and you just trust that there's a divine timing and order and orchestration behind the scenes going on. And when you really show up in life and trust that, life gets so much fun, because then you see there are no accidents or coincidences.
Right.
There really is a synchronicity, and you surrender. And that's where you find inner peace versus trying to control or overanalyze or figure things out from a mind level. That's where I think a lot of our discomfort and anxiety comes in.
And I think especially right now, I was sharing with a friend that back in, I don't know when it was, time seems so odd right now, but perhaps June, maybe April, I put my dog down, and I'm single, and I was feeling so profoundly lonely, and I was getting a little concerned about myself. And I was meditating, and I got this sort of awareness that right now I have everything I need. And I thought, all right, well, if I have loneliness or aloneness, then I must need aloneness. My soul must need that right now, because I have everything I need.
Right.
If I don't have it, I don't need it. I will sink into what is joyful about aloneness, and the loneliness went away.
How amazing, because you weren't resisting, you embraced it.
I embraced it. Yeah. And
when we lean into that discomfort and we are present to it, it really does dissolve. It shifts, and we're able to move on to what's next. Versus, trying to bury it or numb it with whatever drug of choice to not feel it.
Right. So if you're listening, I just want to remind you, this is KUHS Denver, the stream, and this is Dr. Elisa. But you're really listening to the amazing Rebecca Rosen, and I need you to go check out her website because she has so much incredible information. I have to say, you have the best FAQs on your website I've ever seen. There's a question, and then there's a video of you and they're really good questions, right? And you have a video of yourself answering the question. So if you're at all interested, or you'd like to attend one of her small group meetings, and then you said you will be launching at some point a larger group, that go to her website and you can get the information there. I'm just checking, we're getting some lovely sort of assurances in the Facebook site that people are agreeing. I'd like to, and I know you've touched on this, and I actually saw, I think it was one of your FAQs, but so many people really care about their animals. So like I said, I had to put my Newfie down. I've almost always had a dog in my life. I usually have about 6 months between. So can you talk to us about just where the animal spirit, and this, actually there's 2 questions. Talk about animal spirit. Do animals also have guides? Like if I have a dog, does that dog also have an angel that talks to it occasionally to tell it how to deal with me?
Yeah, it's a great, fair question. So I love that you asked this, because lately I can't tell you how many times Spirit is bringing through messages that whether your living pet, cat, dog, horse, or your departed one now in spirit was an incarnated angel and came into your life for a period of time, whether it was months or years, a chapter in your life to help you either learn a certain lesson, to offer unconditional love, to keep your heart open, because we tend to let our guard down, open our hearts, because animals are so unassuming and not threatening, and there's no agenda. It's pure.
Right.
And so whether they're in a body or they're in spirit, a lot of times they're here, they pass on, they pick up where they left off and become a spirit guide from the other side for you.
Oh, wow.
And so there's a realm in spirit, animal heaven. It's like a big dog park.
I want to go there. Just saying. That's where I want to go.
Right, right. I channel animals all the time. In fact, right before I got on a call with you, I'm bringing through a dog named Rocky, and this woman's like, wow, my dog recently passed. His name is Rocky, and she was just blown away that he would show up. But that soul was just as important as a person. Sometimes our animals are our babies, and we always have connection. And just like in life, how we could talk with them. Obviously, they're not speaking English or a language, but we speak through our feelings. And so I just encourage people like you, I'm sure you do this, but you constantly send, a shout out to your dog and send love, and your dog will feel you when you do that. And I have to ask you, so as you were talking about your dog is around you, and you know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a man who's also with you holding the dog. Did you have a boyfriend who died, or a former lover who passed?
So my husband passed almost 4 years ago.
Okay, that's who it is. Your husband is holding the dog. He picked up where you left off, and the dog's in good hands. And there's 2 of them, actually. There's 2, and then is there a dog that was an R initial? There's an R initial, and then there's a J. J as in Jack. Jacob.
Not in my animals.
Okay, so what about your spirit, your people? Because what they want you to know is that the dogs are not alone, you know this.
Right.
And so your husband's still with you, and he has a good kind of dry sense of humor. And he's constantly, are there 2 kids? Do you guys have 2 kids together?
No. He has 2 kids that are still alive. They're my stepdaughters.
That's why he's one foot in this world, because his assignment is still to look after the 2 kids.
Okay.
And that's for him to do, not for you.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
But the feathers are coming from your higher guides.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And sorry, so this is just what happens. They're so
I'm loving
strong.
this. Just do what you do.
Yeah. Who is there? A Richard or Robert?
Yeah. No, Richard was my husband. Rick was my husband.
That's it. That's the R initial.
Oh, that's the R. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the R.
And then who would be the J initial? Who's with him?
Who's with him?
And so I know you're on the spot, but think about this later. It could be his grandfather, a father, and then was husband's passing connected to cancer?
Massive stroke, but he was unhealthy in many ways, so No telling. Probably something
Okay.
wrong with his lungs, and then a massive stroke.
I was going to say lung cancer.
Yeah.
What I'm getting is this was ongoing for years, and
Yes.
it was an exit point. So he was okay. Was he in his late 50s?
Mid-60s. He was older.
This started at 57, or he bypassed an exit at 57, is what he's showing me.
Okay.
So that's like an example of what we were just talking about
Okay.
with.
Sure.
Okay, so you might want to think back, is that when he became aware something was wrong with his health? Okay.
And I think that Jay might be his grandson, Jacob. So somebody who's still here, he might still be hanging on because of Jacob.
Potentially. There you go. That could be it, because I got Jacob or Jack. So if that's the case, he's saying he's working now from the other side as a guide. And he recognized the kids, and this is potentially a grandchild who he's on assignment with.
Yes. They were very
help.
close. They were very
Now,
close.
let me just bring this full circle for you. What they're saying is a new dog is coming in, sent to you, to keep your heart open and available, almost prepare you for a next new love of a partner. So you're ready. I don't think the partner is ready and up to speed. So it's nothing you're doing wrong. So they're going to buy you time with a new dog.
I actually got exactly that message, is just be aware the dog is coming because you need that one first. So that's hysterical.
You need that first. There you go. And then next spring, I see the door opening for potentially for that relationship to again find you. You don't have to go look for it. I always tell people, as long as you're in alignment with you, okay, doing what you're here, lit up, high vibration, the universe, law of attraction takes care of the rest. You don't have to go online dating. You don't have to go desperately seeking it. You just need to be you, and it will find you.
I got that so loudly from your book and from your work, and so I just need to do the shout out again. If you're listening to this and I just got this amazing reading, you really need to go to RebeccaRosen.com, and because she's incredible. So please, thank you. This is amazing. I always expect my dad to come through, and that's
So I was
all,
just going to tell you, your dad. In fact, when you and I spoke a week or two ago.
Yes.
He was, I told you, your dad is so strong with you. He's so proud of you. So he is in the background, but he's humble and kind of quiet because he doesn't need to be the center of this right now.
Right.
But you know he's there. He's like your grounding.
He is.
And very, very aware of the good work you're doing, and partly responsible for that complete shift in your path. So it's almost like, yeah, he inspired. I don't know if he did what was expected of him for so many years versus what his soul called him to do.
Yes, he did.
And he wants you to know that you've kind of changed that trajectory, and because of that, there's good health. There's no dis-ease. So I don't know what he had health-wise. Was it heart?
You know what, we're not really sure. He had rheumatoid arthritis that never responded to anything, and so before he died, he had both of his legs amputated, but they said he wasn't diabetic. I think he had celiac, is my personal, something of the blood that, so yeah.
Whatever this is, though, you're redeeming him by being very mindful of your own health and well-being, and, you know, on every level. Not just physical.
And again, that's such a lovely concept. I know in Judaism we talk about an aliyah for the neshama, a rising up of the soul, the spirit for someone else. And I'm sure in other traditions it's the same thing, that we can go back and heal in the lineage. So that's what a beautiful concept. Wow, thank you. Thank you. I wasn't expecting that, but thank you. Good news to know.
Well, you caught me in between phone readings. So I'm in major media mode as we're doing this.
That's lovely. That's lovely. So we have about 5 minutes left, and what I'd love to, so as I told you when we spoke, that the theme for my show is inspiring a renaissance of spirit, and that's what I hope I do in others, that's my theme. You do that obviously through the work you do. I'd love to know what still inspires you on a regular basis.
You know, for me, I would say the power of prayer. Okay. I really believe in the power of prayer. It's prayer is when we are talking to God, and meditation is when we're listening. And for me, everything starts with intention. And every single day, sometimes 10 times a day, I'm praying. I find myself, oftentimes it's gratitude. I'm just walking around reciting gratitude, and that's a prayer. And when whether it's out loud or internally, am reciting my, counting my blessings, or setting intention and asking for divine guidance or help, I always get feedback, whether it's a sign or a feeling. I shift from a place of panic to a place of peace and calm. So prayer is really powerful, and anybody who follows me knows I'm kind of obsessive and probably annoying to some degree about when people ask how they can do this for themselves. It always comes back to prayer and meditation. And it's true. I mean, that for me, I walk my talk in that sense. I every day am praying and meditating multiple times a day, and that strengthens that intuitive muscle. And the stronger it gets, the more trusting you become, and then the more Spirit starts showing you signs, evidence that it's working. And that's usually through miracles and synchronicity and flow in your life.
That's so lovely, and especially there are so many ways to meditate. So I love moving meditation. I meditate when I walk or run or hike. My feet hit the trail, and I'm in a completely different space. And I know in your book you mentioned working out. So I'm hoping you can still do that during COVID. I'm sure you found a way to do that. So it doesn't have to be a rote kind of meditation. It's, again, the kind that works for us. So and we have 3 minutes, and I'm not going to keep you a minute longer because I know somebody else gets the gift of your time with a reading. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you would wish I had?
No, I think you did a fabulous job. As we talked about, it should be an organic conversation, and Spirit brings through what your listeners most need right now. And I feel like you did a great job all over the board.
Okay, thank you. But is there anything last thing? I'm going to let you do one more shout out. Literally, we have like 2 minutes, and I want to end with your shout out again. Can you just do one more, the kind of readings you're doing?
Yes. So what I am doing now, I'm doing virtual small group readings and large audience events to come. Everybody who is interested or feels called to do this, it's the small groups, everybody gets a reading, guaranteed, and there's a lot of parallel messages, so the whole 2 hours is a pretty powerful experience. The large groups, it's going to be kind of what I used to do with Facebook Live, Q&A and mediumship, a lot of readings. But you may or may not get read directly with a couple hundred people, but you will hear the messages that you need to hear. And I'm doing in person. This is a Denver audience. Here in town, once a week, I hold these small groups in person, all COVID friendly. But those are really amazing. If you want to see me live, that would be the way. And all this information is on my website, RebeccaRosen.com.
So if you're listening, I really want to encourage you to just go to her website. There is so much information there. Pick up her books. If money is an issue right now, honestly, you can buy her books. Her books are amazing. And there's so much on the website. And if you're drawn to her, I can tell you it's absolutely worth your time and your energy to connect with her. So we have just a minute left. I want to thank you, everyone, for listening to the Dr. Elisa Show on KUHS Denver, The Stream. Sometimes I have trouble getting those letters out in the right order. And want to thank you for listening live on the radio, live on Facebook, live wherever you listen, and to please contact my guests. And to remember, you can find me at elisarobin.com, and we can talk about, and in fact, you could partner, right? I can look at your notes of your moon, and then you can go have an amazing session with Rebecca and get all that deep information you need. So thank you for tuning in. Everyone stay safe out there, stay well, and make sure you tune in again in 2 weeks for my show. All the best, and signing off.